Hey, hi guys, welcome to a premium deck profile for Pale Moon. And not just any Pale Moon. Silver Thorns. Let's center that over here so you guys can see it a bit better. It is Silver Thorns. That's what we're going to be getting a profile today. This is a very fun archetype that I'm having a whole blast with whenever I pick up this deck. I've never tilted or disappointed or angry whenever I play this deck. You do have some really cool and interesting combos and plays that you can do with this deck. Currently, it is in its infancy, so if you guys have any other ideas as to how to strengthen this deck or to add your own little twist to it based on what I built on, build on this. This is a very fun, interactive deck. It is super cool. So hopefully you guys enjoy it as well. And without further ado, it's showtime! For the grade 3s, we'll be playing 4 copies of Silverthorn Lukier, Dragon Tamer Lukier. Then we have 3 copies of Dragon Tamer Venus Lukier and 1 copy of Beast Tamer Dorian. Rounding up our grade 3s is it. You can play up to 9, entirely up to you. I run mostly the marker. Axel 2 mostly is what we go for, or Axel 1 depending on the matchup which you want to go for. The deck does not need that much in terms of gas to get going. All you need is a bit of setup and you can get your combos rolling. Marionette Lillian, she's a Silverthorn unit. Counterblast 1. On plays Vanguard Circle, Rearguard Circle. Search your deck for a Silverthorn unit, you put it into your soul, and you shuffle your deck. So a lot of what the other cards that I'll be showing you has a lot of effects that put the cards to the bottom of the deck a lot of the time, and you can stack your deck based on that, right? But Lillian helps a lot in this instance of you maybe putting down on the bottom of your deck like a couple of heal triggers or draw triggers or critical triggers, and you can actually shuffle those in after thinning out your deck of almost only normal units. You can shuffle your deck and reset your potential multi-critical drive checks, which is nice. So then one of the new additions to the archetype outside of Venus, of course, is Sylvia. She is fantastic. She is Counterblast 1, on placed Vanguard Circle, Rearguard Circle. Choose 2 Silverthorn units from your soul, call them to Rearguard Circle. They don't go back end of turn, they just stay there. They're permanent. Or at least until they get retired or removed or whatever. But she's really good for extending plays. And then for our beat stick, we have 3 copies of Rising Dragon. This can also be replaced with anything else. Tricky Assistants, Hoopmaster PGs. It can also be replaced with Paratons. It's entirely up to you what you want to replace this in this slot. I play it because it is a extra Lukier, since Lukier does have the skill when you call 2 or more cards out of your soul, it gets continuous plus 10k until end of turn, which is great. Which is really, really good and very hard to deal with if you're hitting on a Axel 1 marker for 29 an attack, which is can be pretty devastating sometimes. Now on to the grade 1s. We play 4 copies of Assistant Irina. She allows you, when you write on top of her, into grade 2. So she has a pretty cool on-write ability from your grade 2. You check top 3. You put 2 cards in. You put 2 cards into your soul. If those 2 cards happen to be Silverthorn units, you draw a card, which is nice. And her other skill is you check your top 2. You put a Silverthorn into your soul, you put a card to the bottom of your deck. Then we play 3 copies of Rummy. She's a Conjurer Rummy. She is Rest Herself, put herself into soul. You check your top 3 for Silverthorns. You put as much as you want to into your soul, and you put the rest at the bottom of your deck. It facilitates a lot of your plays to set up. It helps allow us to set up a whole lot and gives you a whole lot of reach when you're looking for pieces that you're trying to dig for, like these cards, which is Assistant Zelma. She is a Silverthorn unit. Her skill is on place. You choose one of your Silverthorn rearguards, you put it into soul, and you call another Silverthorn out of your soul that is not her. Which is really insane. What you could do too is that you can, if say for example you open with a Zelma, or you have a Zelma in your soul, you have a Zelma in your hand, what you can do is choose a unit, put it into your soul, get like a Sylvia or something. You take the Zelma and the Sylvia with another unit out of your soul, choose the one that's, you know, sort of dead, put it into your soul. The one that probably gets Magia for one of your stride effects, you can put it back into your soul again, allowing you to have 2. I really like this card a whole lot. I wish I had 3. I would recommend having 3 over the 2 copies of cards that we play here, which is the Breathing Dragon. It's not bad. It kind of gives you some nice little multi-attack shenanigans that your opponent kind of has to deal with. But then, you know, I'd rather not have to deal with all of that. But it's fine. It's fine. It allows you to kind of give some nice multi-attack. So this skill is, you choose one of your rear guards, put it in your soul, Counterblast 1, you choose one of your rear guards in your soul, you call it. So you can call the same card that you targeted, except for itself, of course. So it's nice. To round up the last point of the grade 1s here, we do play the Clown. Silverthorn Serenity. Her skill is GB1. It is GB restricted. I think it is almost outside of 2 cards in my deck. The only GB restricted card that I have to play in my deck, you don't really need it. Your skills, the skill of this card usually is pretty active without having to stride, so you do have some turns where you can actually kill your opponent without striding, which is very powerful for an archetype like this. You discard a card from your hand. After this is used as boost. Primarily I use it for my Vanguard. It puts itself into soul, and you call a Silverthorn unit out of your soul to the rearguard circle. It also has another skill that when you call a rearguard to the rearguard circle from your soul, Counterblast 1, she calls herself. So you can kind of get 2 procs of this off if you have enough Counterblast for it, which is nice. It's really nice. So I played it as a one-off. You can run more copies of it if you want to. I think it's fine. So that's it for the main deck currently. I mean, I do play like one more normal unit main deck, but it's a grade 0. So that's going to be a surprise. Some bunnies that we have. These are the strike kits. These are the convert bunny. Then we also play the collection crits, which gives us the soul that can actually help us draw some cards, get some power to Vanguard, and you can also use it in combination with a G-Guard that we play to actually get it out of the soul to use it as a Guardian, which is kind of nice. Having 15k shield in your soul that you could potentially use later to guard against very large attacks is very nifty. And then we currently play some vanilla heals. You could also end up playing the Prime Collection heals that are coming out soon, so you can actually play this in place of these. That's entirely up to you. You can also run stand triggers if you want to in this archetype. I'm not really a fan of running stands in Silverthorn specifically, but you could if you really wanted to for more utility. That's entirely up to you. Then we have draw pages. Very simple, very efficient. Not much to say there. Then we do play 1 copy of the Overtrigger. And then for our criticals to round up our 7, we do play 2 copies of Dixie. Her skill is, if she's on rearguard circle, she can put herself to the top of the deck, shuffle your deck, and you call a card from out of your soul if you have a Lucia Vanguard, which is relatively easy. It's really, really easy to do. You're never really on a Lucia. You have like 1 non-Lucia unit, and that's come on. It's almost negligible. I do not run 4 of it. We could run 4 of it, but it could become a bit of an issue with power scaling, and it could make it a bit awkward, and I really want a consistent stride, so I prefer running stride crits. You can not run this entirely if you want to. That's entirely up to you. And then we do play 1 copy of Lotte. And we do play 1 copy of Lonella. So Lotte allows us to countercharge by putting itself any other Silver Thorn unit into your soul to take a grade 3 from your soul, add it to your hand, and you countercharge 1, which is very cool to have in a deck that uses a whole lot of CB. So as you notice, a lot of our cards are grade 2s or grade 3s. Sometimes our strides eat up a lot of our CB sometimes, and Pale Moon does have some issues with countercharging, and this helps a whole lot. Why am I not playing more copies of it? I just don't have space right now. And it is a grade 0, so you do have sometimes your hand can be susceptible to brick. You need to be very, 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 very careful about that. Now to the strides. So the strides is also pretty open for discussion. I'm fine with making some changes and some concessions here and there. So if you see something that you might like or might want to change, or want to tell me like, hey, that's not how you run it, then I'm fine. Let's see. For the Gzone 16, of course, we run 3 copies of Fancy Megatrick Dark Lord Princess. I do want to cut this down to 2 because I do want to play an extra particular card here that I feel is also a staple in this archetype. Then we do play some Masquerade Masked Harry. This is the box topper that we had got a couple of years ago, actually now. A couple of years ago, actually. It was pretty relatively hard to come by. And we're going to get some reprints of him relatively soon. So I'm very excited about this. Hopefully you guys can also be able to enjoy Premium as well with us. So Dark Lord Princess's skill as follows. You flip up a copy of a card in your Gzone, and then you ride one with Magia ability. So most of my Gzone that we currently play right now has a whole lot of Magia in it. So then you can target her. You can use her skill to target either Masquerade Mask Harry, Mid-Air Megatrick Yvette, or Dragon Masquerade Harry. So then you get some more utility off of any plays that you want to make. And Masquerade Mask Harry can choose your circles to put into your soul to call new units. So you choose to soul charge 2 to call 2, which is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. 2 for 3 plus 1. Whoa. Wildest. And the end of turn, they all go into soul, but you do have some end of turn effects by either Lotte or Dorian or anything else. So that's actually really, really nice. Alright. Cool. And we do have Mid-Air Megatrick Yvette. I do want to play a second copy of her. I do think that there is a lot of turns. So you usually go into Yvette whenever your opponent gets a defensive trigger. If you're playing against a Force archetype. Against something like Protect or Axel, you're still fine. Or even against an 11k Vanguard or some decks that still play it. For example, Luard sometimes still play the 11k versions of themselves, be it either Drag Heart or Drag Fall, and being on Axel 2 is good against those archetypes. So there are sometimes you go into Yvette, but not too much. Dragon Masquerade Harry, do play 1 copy of it as our Magia unit. He is for removal, just to more or less get rid of any threatening boards that the opponent could possibly have. But I have come to the conclusion I rarely ever go into him. I would love I would love to be able to I'd love to be able to have, you know, the other ones like Fairfield, for example. Fairfield would allow me to, you know, send my, if I have an over trigger in my drop zone, I could send it back to my deck, for example. That'd been really nice. But sadly enough, we don't have it, so alas. Fairfield would be a really nice replacement for like a card or two for this Gzone. Then we do play the Zereth Dragon Dust. His skill is Counterblast 2 on place. Deal your opponent a point of damage. Remove all abilities from your opponent's board. and reduce their grades and powers to 1. The damage dealing skill only activates when they have 3 or less, I think, or 4 or less. Yeah. Remember the old skill? Before they changed the skill, it used to be deal your opponent a point of damage, period, at any point in the game. I was a little bit busted, so I'm really happy that they nerfed this a bit. You know, Zareth-like dragon, which is the progenitor dragon, which is Formido, which can allow you, if you discard the same name as your Vanguard, you can stride into it. Its skill is on place, Counterblast 1. You retire your rear guards for the amount of rear guards that your opponent has. And if you retired, what it was, 2 or 3 or more, you get to Soul Charge 5 and draw a card. Which is not bad, because you discarded for stride and you get to draw a card. And you do have like multiple copies of grade 3s in your hand a lot of the time, so you can make some really good use of it. Alright, so do have our G guards here. We have Chainsaw Mega Trick Furnival. He is a G guard. By discarding Heat Trigger, you have access to him. You put him in a Guardian Circle, activate his ability. He checks the top 3 of your deck, and you choose to put 1 into your soul. If it is a grade 1 or greater, it gets 5k. You basically search your top 3, you search for like a piece you might need to soul charge, and you set up your soul. And I think my favorite G-Guard from this archetype so far has to be Jester Demonic Dragon Wandering Dragon. This unit, I love it so much. We play 2 copies of it. Its skill is on Guardian Circle. You soul charge 1. You choose a card from your soul. So it's blind soul charge. But if you set up, remember what I told you about setting up the critical trigger, or you can actually do a cheeky play with this card, where with Dorian, since Dorian doesn't need you to specifically soul charge Silver Thorn units, you can actually end up soul charging a PG. And if you're playing against an archetype, that denies you guarding with sentinels from hand, you can actually use the skill of this, soul charge a card, anything randomly, and then call this out to the Guardian Circle, and this skill would still trigger, so you can actually pay the cost to PG with it, which is just awesome. It gives you so much alternative ways of being able to protect yourself against something that can cheese you out relatively easily. So then we have Kinesis Mega Trick Cold Hard. Its skill is when placed on Guardian Circle, if there's cards 4 or more different grades in your soul, choose a face down G guard from your Gzone to turn it face up. So it is a GB1 skill, and it gets 15k until end of that battle. I mean, it's more or less it's more or less this, but this can get random soul triggers into your soul. This one is just guaranteed Guardian that you still need. I still like it, and I still would run it. You could choose the order of flipping these. Usually, sometimes I do this, or sometimes I go Wandering Dragon. I go this. I flip this one, the Furnival. So these 2 are out, and then this 3 is up, and then you can choose to either flip this one to flip this one up, or you can choose to G-Guard with that one there. So that's entirely up to you. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining our performance for this evening. If you happen to like what you've seen here and want to see more, just click like, so hopefully we can bring you more. Thank you for coming to our performance at the Grand Masquerade. I'm sure Madame Luquier would be proud of you.